Good day, good night, good evening, and welcome to a 142nd podcast. We're dropping in for a nice and short and sweet podcast because we have a lovely Janina who was out in the Cleveland Open, and she's going to give us some word of the day and tell us know what was going on and how she left the tournament, if they would be inviting her back, and all that good stuff. And whether we should even care about the challenger because, in the past, it was just Reels checking this out. But, all of a sudden now, Janina is all about the challenges. But before I go any further, let me introduce my co-hostesses with the mostesses. We have Andreen from Solely Tennis Travels. How are you, girl?
I'm good.
Are you in your house? Are you in a boat? Are you in some secret location?
I should be in a boat because it's raining a lot here in LA, but I'm in my house. I have no reason to leave it until I have to go out, probably tomorrow afternoon. So I've been like in my PJs. I love it.
What is with
that
all this
means,
rain?
Janina, right? Janina, you know that by Thursday she's gonna send us a text saying, hey bitches, I'm in Canada.
Right,
Hey, I'm
totally.
in Oslo.
Not even.
This
No,
is
I
what
don't
Andrew
know
does.
about it.
Listen,
Why
I
did
don't
you
know
go
about
back?
the rain.
Andrew,
But
you
know
don't
what?
even know what's happening yet. This is how this
Exactly.
works. Like, you're like, no, I'm laying low. And then you're like, oh, well, I saw this really good deal. And boom,
I was
I'm
like,
in Portugal.
I'm on a work trip. I'm on a work trip in Florida.
Listen, this is how I like to live my life. Yeah, it's been kind of nice to have the rain. Obviously we need it, but our drainage system is problematic to say the least here.
I mean, we should have totally opened with Tony's old It Never Rains in Southern California, because every time somebody mentions rain in LA, this is what I think about. I'm just like, it's not supposed to rain there. There's a whole fucking song about it.
It needs to rain because when there's a drought, when there's drought precautions, these rich motherfuckers be like, oh my God, I need to water my lawn. Like, how can I have no brown patches? And I hate to see these struggle rich people going on about their lawn. I just hate to see those rich people. So thank God, let rain, stay, please spare us rich white people's problem. But we have Janina from Foreign Ohio, who has been getting out much, and she's been putting herself out there and hobnobbing with the ATP lower ranks. Those kind of, are they even certified or numbered? I don't know. Like that's up for question, right? Like we don't know. Are they real professionals just yet? ATP might say different. How are you, Janina? Janina, is she there?
Did we lose her? She left us.
Well, while we wait for Janina to get back from wherever she went to, we have Reels, the homosexual of the podcast. And I'm not sure what to say right now because Janina is the agenda. But while we wait for Janina to come back from wherever she went to, let's just get into a little bit of result. There was some tennis going on. I mean, I can't speak on the Davis Cup because the format was all over the place. And quite honestly, I didn't keep up with that. But I do know that there were some ladies' events going on. And I do know that some men, a man, John Millman, watched at least one. And the only thing he could talk about was not the results, but that, someone took a medical timeout. And he felt it's time for the abuse to stop. I mean, what I don't even know what to say.
So what was the match? What's the match? And did you watch it?
Am I back?
Yes, you're back now, Janina. But you're gonna have to wait your turn because So we had a match in Thailand. We had a tournament in Thailand, and Tomljanovic seemed like she was gonna go get it, but she lost the weight, and Yastremska from Ukraine. She took the title.
And a medical timeout.
Which John Millman was not happy about. I mean, like
neither was Nick, but Nick makes sense.
You know what I'm saying? So John Millman is trying to hook his brother up. But I mean, Nick, John Millman, it can't be y'all.
Well, I mean, I mean, they have personal stakes in it, so it's hard for it to take it seriously. However, I did get a sense on my timeline that people didn't approve of the MTO and the timing of it.
Yeah, I get all of that.
Them. It was beyond them, right?
I get all of that, but John Millman, let other people have that conversation, okay, boo? Because you can't be on the ATP tour if you were in soccer. Man, you can't even be in soccer. You can't even be in soccer top of medical timeout. I mean, I don't know. Just look, because when he was talking, I was just like, Fabio Fanini is a figment of my imagination. I just make him up.
Well, it's always easier to critique the other thing. So, I mean, the only difference is we never have the women critique the men's tour. That'd be fun.
Exactly. Ooh, that'd be so fun.
You know what I mean? They should probably start.
I need that in my life.
I think I did see there was one critique. Actually, I did see quite a few saucy responses and actually thoughtful responses from some of the ladies because of a reporter, I guess, on some trash paper in New Zealand. Because apparently it's like I don't know, it would be like
the Star
or something.
National Enquirer.
But I mean, I thought, you know what, the thing should not have gone to print because basically the guy trashes the women's final, the Australian Open, and then proceeds to talk about how great the men's final is going to be. And I was like, dude, God. You haven't even seen the men's final yet.
I mean, the lineup alone should have told you it was not going to be greatness. It was
no, but
right?
He assumed it was going to be long. Do you know what I mean? And grueling.
That's how we measure greatness and epicness in men's tennis, right? Is it long?
How long it is.
I mean, quality be damned.
This is how long and how hot. And
it's how we measure men often, isn't it?
Actually, no. I mean, well.
Nobody couldn't read that.
And y'all say I'm the sex crave gay one on the podcast, right? I mean, folks, fans listening out there you have it. Okay?
No,
I mean,
all that being said, hey.
So I saw a couple of comments on the. I saw a couple of comments from the women.
I mean, there is no doubt. There is no doubt that people abuse medical timeouts. I feel that medical timeouts are basically mental timeout, right? Let me just reset myself and try to get shit going. But I'm just simply saying they didn't break any rules, right?
Yeah,
so if you find a problem with the situation, maybe the setup is the issue, right?
And come on, though, it's like at some point in time, how much detail do we have to give in these rules? It's like everyone's like, well, no one's breaking any rules, but you know exactly what you're doing. Ethically, everyone's giving you the side eye. If you're going to take an MTO on someone's, when it's someone's turn to serve, when you're a match point down, or you know what I mean? It's like, come on, like we all know that there are appropriate places for you to feel your pain.
And here's what's so funny about it, right? Just not even 2 weeks ago. Not even 2 weeks ago, someone didn't take a timeout, and we were like, "Oh, brave! Oh, wonderful! Oh, great! Yeah, you know what I mean?" And a girl took what was within her limits, and everybody trying to trash her. I mean, come on, people.
Well, I mean, you know how it is when a new player emerges and like wipes the court with people's faves. Either you love them or you hate them.
We can't just make rules and regulation just to affect our faves. That ain't how it works.
Yes, it is. That's how it works.
That's exactly how it works.
Cut it out,
rain, it falls on your enemy's plot of land too.
I don't know about any of that, but
I'm just saying. And this is the thing that I have against tennis, right? I mean, I thought back, I think I retweeted John Millman tweet stating, dude, see, this is the only time I watch a women's match, and this is what you had to say, basically, right? This is all, But I mean, Andre and I always say you can't just shoot the messenger, right? It might not be the person you want to be the messenger, but there might be a thoughtful response and critique. But here's my problem: John Millman ain't gonna say anything else beyond that, but that. He's just
about
leave it right.
He says a lot of things. He's been talking very critically about ITF rule change. He's been talking about pay. He's been talking. I mean, you can't say he doesn't talk up about lots of things. I mean,
but
you
see. I'm just simply saying he's just going to say blow up around here and then we're done. But I mean, my thing is just like,
well, let's wait and see.
True,
you know what? Reels' thing. I have to say, this is the thing. We go back and forth, listeners, about this. Reels wants these players to have a cogent thoughtful response. And then he wants them to organize and he wants them to get shit done. And I'm like, reals. He's like, everyone had a job. They're bitching on Twitter.
Exactly. That's how I'm seeing. Because
you don't like it like that, right? They're just at work bitching, real. That's all they're doing.
The thing. You know who's not on Twitter and give a shit about Twitter? The people who running the shit. They don't give a shit. People organizing.
Well, I mean, the way things have traditionally worked, it seems to me, is that you get on Twitter, you bitch about it, the fans get riled up, and then the fans push back enough to generate a response from leadership. I think that's the approach.
But here's the thing that we know, right? And I don't want to spend too long on this because we just got mentioned the other result on the women's side. The Davis Cup shit. I'm gonna have to read up on that because I don't quite understand. We know for one thing we know for sure, most of the fans are not knowledgeable, they're not reading up on the issues, and they're fickle as fuck. So they're ready to jump on the bandwagon and they scream and shout about an issue, and they're not playing with all of the facts, or largely they ignore the facts. So I'm just simply saying, if you're going to rile up people on Twitter, right, which it's a platform, I mean, goddamn, it gives somebody a presidency. I'm going to go try to fight. I'm not trying to fight that, but I'm just simply saying, you're right. I need a cogent response. I need to find out what are the real issues here and it cannot be reduced to 140 characters, about 240, I think it is now, or 280, whatever. You can't, because you are expecting substantive changes. We're not talking about stopping plastic bags on the court. You're talking about work policy, right? You're expecting real big changes, right? Whether it's medical timeout, whether it's pay equity, whether it's like certification or a distinction on the toe. And that you just can't just tweet about it and let people be riled up, because you know what? Fans don't really care. And something I learned from Janina's experience at the challenges is things that I think may seem pretty obvious to me, and I'm like, oh, I think I know per se. There are a lot of things that are going on the tour that the men are feeling and dealing with, and they don't say anything about it because it ain't enough to be tweeted about. And they have a platform, you know what I mean? And they can organize, because you know what? When one person's screaming, and we know this in the office, right? If you're in an office setting, if one person is bitching and complaining about there's no staplers in the office, no one gives a shit about Debbie. Debbie ain't got no staplers, whatever. But let Debbie get the whole office to be like, you know what? We ain't buying no more fucking staples in here. So there's nothing getting done together. You see how quick the boss find money out of someplace and get staples together. Because if you're expecting changes to be done, you have to do the heavy lifting, and you have to and if you want me to be involved and even to care, you have to because otherwise I'm just seeing a whole bunch of rich people making a bunch of noise. And I know they don't really have money. And when nothing else works, let's blame Roger Federer. Roger and right? You know what I mean?
I mean, that's it. Now that we're in the Djokovic era, we're gonna shift and blame him.
Well, we had that with Benotto, right? We had the Benotto defense, right? Well, I just want favoritism, not for Federer, but for Djokovic. Like, let's do that.
I love it.
I took up a lot of time, but so yes, there is that mess. But you know, if they want to talk, whatever. Anyway, on the other end, Kiki Burton's is getting back to someone we should care about.
Every now and then.
Yeah.
It's the wrong Kiki for you. It's the wrong Kiki.
Yeah, it's the wrong Kiki.
Go down on my chin.
I think I mean, like, it is a generic Kiki.
Leave Kiki alone.
We like the Kiki.
You know what's really sad? I think Kiki might be her real name.
Oh God, is it?
Because the other Kiki is Christina, and they just call her Kiki as a pet name.
Well, we do like the other Kiki the best, for sure.
Yeah. Yes, we do.
The other Kiki brings some sauce, but that Kiki Burton, Donna was so excited because she beat Petra. I mean, I don't know why Petra showed up in St. Petersburg.
Well, I think what did we learn? Apparently she'd gotten into that tournament last year and she wanted to sort of show her thanks and show up. Listen, she stayed longer than I thought. I thought she was going to lose her first match, but
that is true. I mean, and we have to say this might be a new Petra because
kind of right.
Times she's showing out.
It's not a new Petra. Stop it. Never get on a bus with Petra.
Janina is not prepared to believe it.
Do not do it.
No, let me be clear here. Let me be clear here. I'm not getting on the bus with Petra. I'm at the bus stop taking notes. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And this is 3 times Petra showed up in 3 consecutive tournaments, right?
Mm-hmm.
Except finals are better. And I mean, has this ever happened before? Anywhere?
Probably, just not in the hot Aussie sun.
I mean, and these are what? 2 outdoor tournaments and 1 inside. So I mean,
well, let's see.
So I think Petra's racing. I think she's probably motivated to get that number 1 title, but she has never got to the number 1. So that might be putting a little, pep in her step this year. So
yeah, she's on her way.
It should be
get it, Petra.
To see how that goes. So Donna Vekic lost out to Kiki Burton's in straight set. Yeah, but she still found time to send Andy a big huggable teddy bear.
I know, like, why on earth is Stan getting the credit for that? We know damn well Stan didn't send no teddy bear. Donna did that shit. No. Men don't.
Why would you assume that Stan doesn't know how to buy teddy bears? That's something that fathers do for their children.
Whatever. I don't think he's a good dad.
I just thought they were out in the toy store together, and while Donna got a toy.
Actually, honestly, it's probably something somebody shipped. You call up, ask for a teddy bear, and get it shipped.
Yeah, and you know what? It was Donna's idea. Right? It was not Stan's idea. I'm certain of it. That's just what I think.
So I took a look at the Davis Cup stuff.
Okay.
Oh, Jesus.
Listen, we just have to admit it. So basically, it seems to me that what they had done was they had already had a group of champions waiting.
Okay.
Waiting. They knew that they were going to be competing in the finals in Madrid on November 18th through the 24th.
This is a final. This is a tournament finals.
The tournament final, right? So that group, their slot was already taken care of, so they didn't have to compete this past week.
Okay, so they got by.
Yeah, they got by. So Croatia was already there since they were the winners. France as the runner-up was already there. Spain and the USA. And then there were wild cards given to Argentina and Great Britain because, of course, they thought maybe they'd get Andy Murray and probably Delpo. And then this past...
fellas, you got to deal with Dan Evans.
I know. And then this past weekend...
He won't be playing doubles. Who
knows? And then this past weekend... Australia, Belgium, Canada, Chile, Colombia, Germany, Italy, Japan, Kazakhstan, Netherlands, Russia, and Serbia all won their spaces so that they're all going to the final. So it's going to be like 18 nations battling it out to become
three
champions.
Like they have it listed as. I have a question.
Maybe it's going to be fun. I don't know.
I mean, listen, you know me, I'm not attached. So if it all works,
true,
more power to them. You know what I mean? Like if this is
hey, and you know what? I like Piqué.
And I mean,
so and I think what
I don't want to be.
So what they're going to do is they're going to take like the top 6 nations as they were seeded. So it's like France, Croatia, Argentina, Belgium, Great Britain, and the USA. They're going to put them into different groups. And then the remaining group, like 7 through 18, are going to then be going against the top seeds.
So we're just going to have this big giant draw for a trophy. I mean, hello, it's a tournament.
It's a tournament, but
it's a tournament.
It's a tournament with 18
with nations instead of nations.
Right. Yeah,
that's it.
Basically.
Okay.
And it's taking place over the course of what is it? The 18th to the 24th? Was it that I said? So
I have no idea.
Several days.
You know what? Just win his Laver Cup. That's all we really care about.
You're trying to start
I'm totally trying to start some shit here.
No, so it's the 18th, the 19th, the 20th, the 20th. Oh wow, it's a long set. It's like a week. The 18th to the 24th.
Yeah, it has to be.
It's a real live tournament, Andrew.
Because they're like 18 teams. They can't play all that shit in one day.
Hey, play it in one day. Who cares?
You know what? I was thinking about it. You know, people, I mean, obviously it's Americanized. So, I mean, I think part of the reaction to the Davis Cup stuff is also because the leadership is American, right? And so everybody's like, Americans. But we know that people can get quite excited about a team, even if you're not from there, right? Because the Super Bowl wasn't played in either of the towns.
Well, it never is. But it never is.
We have a mod level that here, and people dress up and show up and show out. You know what I mean?
Pay way too much money.
I know, I'm sure, but
I have a feeling it's going to be more cost effective to go to Davis Cup. I also have a feeling we just lost Reels.
No, I'm still here.
Oh, you're there. He's like, oh, you guys started talking about fucking American football. I'm out.
No. But you know what? No, I was just looking at it and I was like, because we never have to mention it again. But it's like, it's November 18th is like a Monday. So it actually isn't starting on a Sunday. It's starting on a Monday, and the final, I guess, is going to be on a Sunday. So yeah, I mean, I think we already hear some players saying, not bump that.
Yeah, Sasha Zverev looking at you.
But you know what? You know what was interesting
about fine. He helped him get there.
I didn't watch a lot of the matches, but it looks to me that making it a 3-setter, best of 3, really worked for the young kids.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
The only thing that stood out to my mind in terms of what was happening was the Canadian duo of Felix and Dennis.
Yep.
Felix is the cooler one. Just putting it out there.
Stop.
Yeah, sure. But I mean,
the black people.
I mean, Dennis,
I think it's important.
Dennis try to act like he's the older brother, but
he's definitely got the better hair.
But,
I mean, and think about it. Sweden lost. I mean, Colombia took out Sweden for love.
But who's on Sweden team?
Yeah, I was going to say who's playing for Sweden. Look, who's playing for Colombia?
Oh yeah, but you know what? Sweden might be. I'm sorry, I take that back. I do know who's playing on Sweden's team. Mikael and Elias. Yeah, man. I do know who they are.
But they're pretty young. Okay, they're are young, but we,
the best of 3 didn't work. So it was like Geraldo. You remember Santiago Geraldo?
Exactly. Those
he's so pretty. Oh, God,
I know. He beat. Did you know that Sweden's number 1 was Elias? That's funny.
Yes. And also Colombia has a very, very solid doubles team.
Yeah.
Farah and Cabral, I think his name.
Yeah.
So
Cabral
was not gonna win that. They don't have Johansson and Magnus Norman. They don't.
Well, no. Sweden always had a really nice doubles player. He has a nice chest. I know that. Robert Lindstedt.
Oh, he's beautiful.
Lindstedt, yes, I have seen him. His legs are amazing.
Yes, so I mean, he's kind of sweet.
Gosh, I love objectifying the men. Let's just keep doing this.
We're trying to balance it out. I mean, men have been objectifying women all the time, and this podcast is trying to make some levity in this world.
It might be a good time to segue into me objectifying some young players on the Challenger Tour.
Not in the era of Me Too, Janina. You will not.
No.
They're all of age. Come on.
Let's go.
Fine.
So, now that we have,
So I mean, listen. I mean, we're all open to Davis Cup. You know what? If the players enjoy it and they do well, and it turns out to make them money, good for them. I mean, I'm not in it for it to fail, because obviously people, I'm not that invested.
But if it doesn't work, then y'all need to speak up, say what you want. Vote for it.
What you want.
Exactly. As they say, a closed mouth doesn't get fed.
I mean, I think it's really bad that they have to do it in Madrid. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
That tournament is never a place where you think, let's go to Madrid and have this tournament. So good luck with that.
Is it on clay?
I mean, it's got to be at Caja Magica, right? That's the only place they have,
right?
Yeah.
Maybe they're gonna build something new. That'd be nice.
When is it happening?
Is this the stadium?
November?
Is this the stadium with the concrete slabs for seats?
Yeah, and
no, that's Mallorca.
No, not that one. No, this is the one with all that sort of metallic covering. I mean, the best thing I could do is make it blue clay, and then I'd be happy for them.
But it has to be an indoor event, though, if it's in November.
It could be indoor clay, or is it?
Mhm.
I mean, is it at Caja Magica or not? Because I
I
mean,
don't know.
Well, it could
can
be
you?
indoor clay, and we could test that theory to see whether Nadal is
I
effective, and
don't
he could
know.
finally win that year-ending championship if they change the
Oh
surface, right?
my
But
god.
anyway, this
Let's
was
get
supposed
back
to
to
be a short
Janina.
and sweet podcast, and we
Yeah,
haven't answered a single.
we've already surpassed our potential 30-minute mark, I'm sure.
Not at
Yeah.
all. Not
But
at
moving on.
all.
So, Janina, you were at Cleveland Open, and I know you had a ball of a time. I'm so happy we expense out and let you go to Cleveland Open.
Mhm.
Your check is in the mail, Janina,
Oh,
to
thank you,
cover your
thank you.
expenses. So
Uh-huh.
tell us, how did you wrap up the event? And oh, by the way, I have to say, congratulations. That was an amazing interview with Nick Rubin. I enjoyed it. And I'm not just saying that because I like you, but it was really good. It was very thoughtful. I learned a lot, and that's all I can ask for in interviews.
You know what? I learned a lot too. That really opened up my eyes to some things that happened on the Challenger Tour for sure. But overall, it was um it was fun. Um the tennis was good. I don't know that the tournament itself was good. I'm being honest. I mean, listen,
So
I think
why would you say, why would that
it
part of it make you pause?
it this is the first time that people have put this on here, right? So there's
Mhm.
just so many things. Um, I didn't even learn until almost the end of the week. And mind you, I went every day.
Mhm.
I didn't go for qualifying, but I started, Monday. Um,
Mhm.
there are practice courts behind everything that you saw on camera in like a whole nother part of the building. And I'm
Oh.
thinking, why on earth didn't you let players book these? Now, I understand that this is at a country club. There are
Mhm.
members there and people need to use it. But
Yeah.
they only had 2 practice courts for the
Mm.
players.
Mm.
I don't know if maybe possibly because Noah talked about really how crappy the courts were, how they
Mhm.
haven't been resurfaced in 10 years. Maybe the ones behind that were even worse. I have no
Ooh, maybe.
idea.
Mm.
But I just feel like there were things that could have been done better. Philip Fama, his name is, who from Tweener Head tennis was there, and he actually went and interviewed the Cleveland State coach. So just to give you some idea, it's probably by car was maybe like 20 minutes away, if that
Mhm.
much. So I'm
Mhm.
thinking Cleveland State has this brand new facility at the very least. Why didn't they try to partner up and give the players a place, to go there and practice
Mm.
at the very least? Because it was an issue to have 5 courts all in a row and on the very end of each side practice courts. It was
Yeah.
disruptive. It
Yeah.
was disruptive noise wise. It was disruptive of balls going all over the place. So there are just like some things that could have been better. I
Mhm.
mean, um, there were locker rooms for the members that said right on it, no ATP player access. Like, I mean, the space wasn't big enough to say you're not allowed to go here or there.
Or
'Cause it's
also just
really
not
small.
welcoming. Do you know what I mean? Like, why put
Yeah.
that note up there? That just
Yeah.
feels like already like a turnoff. You know what I mean? You could do
Yeah.
it in a different way,
Yeah, because you
but
can
it's
let them know
before
this
you
is a
get
private
permission
country
for that week.
club. Just
You know
Right.
what I
understand.
mean?
Exactly.
Why wouldn't you tell the club, I love, this is a wonderful opportunity for us to host this event. You won't have access to the club for this week, or at least during these set times. I mean, really, come
Something.
on.
I mean, it just so, little things like that. Anyone who followed me on Twitter knows that. Listen, I'm not going to say that it was me, but I'm going to just go ahead and take credit because why not, right? I told you guys, like the ball kid fiasco, how there
Mhm.
were none. That didn't
Mhm.
happen anymore.
Yeah.
That did not happen anymore. I mean, because that's
Well,
ridiculous.
oftentimes they need eyes on them for people to do the right thing, right? Or to make sure that
Correct.
things work.
Correct. You have to be called out on something, right?
Sometimes, yeah.
So, that was good. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, all that matters is that you've got people to shag balls and throw and roll and do all of this stuff. But I'm telling you, some of them were, grown folks, and it was really, really interesting. And
How
at
were the
times,
line calls? Did you feel like the quality of
Oh God.
tennis was good?
so okay, the quality of line calling was Oh my God, was it horrendous, horrendous, horrendous. And I could tell who was better at their job and who was not. And I was surprised to see the woman in the chair who did the final, because I felt like there was some type of controversy and stupid controversy in every single one of her matches. Like, it just made no sense. At one point during a match with Marco Scrion, or Giron, I'm sorry, he had break point, match point, okay? The ball, the call on the court was wrong. It was wrong. It was clearly out. His opponent double faulted, no fucking doubt.
Wow.
The chair umpire, he pleaded. He was like, "Are you kidding? Didn't you see that? Blah, blah, blah." Her response to him was, this was unbelievable, you guys. "If I said anything, I would have to be guessing. I didn't see it. It was right in front of her. It was match point, break point.
But that's
she
her job, though.
wasn't watching. She wasn't watching."
But then why wouldn't she? But if she said that, why wouldn't she say, "Let's replay the point"?
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, if you admit that, you know what, I'm going to guess. So why don't I err on the side of
because
the point?
The line judge called it good.
Oh, so she had to go.
Just went with
defer.
It. Yeah.
I think the rules is like that. If you can't,
she had to defer.
I was on the line. I mean, everybody that was there was like, "Oh my God, it was so far out." It cost him a match. I mean, it just, I don't know. It doesn't matter. But it was her over and over and over again that I saw like make these weird calls or non-calls. They're definitely, there's a reason why at the upper level of the tour there are so many line judges. I actually heard a line judge say, "I'm getting tired. I need to go off for a little while. I need somebody to come." Well, nobody was coming. So that's an issue, And I saw a girl, I wanted to talk to her, but there were really only a couple that were friendly at the least. She was so young, and I thought, how did you get here? Because I mean, maybe she was older than she looked, but if I had to guess, she wasn't much older than 18, 19 years old. And I thought, don't you have to like do something to get this job? So that was kind of weird, but yeah, the level of call, and it was way low, I felt like. And Darian King from Barbados got some really shit calls in his final match of the tournament, and I saw him in the hall, and I was like, "You got some shit calls, man." And he said, "Every time, every fucking time." And just gave me a high five. And that's something that I much from everybody on that was there. It was, this is always happening. You have to do better. Constantly. That was probably the most consistent thing, was the players upset about the quality of the line calling. And how this happens all the time. So that was really kind of disheartening, because I feel like if the ATP, the ITF, whoever, I don't even know who's in charge anymore, but if they would just put in a little bit more money at that level to make things happen, it would be of a more equal playing field.
Well, I mean, with their rebranding and their reshuffling, I mean, I think this is the time for us to see if they're going to put their money where their mouth is, really, because they actually, for the first, I mean, this is now their new rebranded Challenger Tour, right? Which is what you talked about, how the Challenger Tours are all going to have now like a 5 ATP Challenger category based on the prize money, similar to like the 250, 500 and all of that.
Oh, and can we just have a correction? Because I was totally wrong about that. You were right. I did read about it. The number after the Challenger, like Cleveland was a Challenger 90. That's points. It's points.
Yeah. Points. Yeah. So it's going to be good. So now it's like, I think there's this intention of professionalizing this tier so that it's much more of a legitimate pathway. And I think you were right about that. They were going to cover the hotel accommodation, which is huge. That's very big. I mean, I think.
Yeah, but did you catch what Noah said about that though?
What did he say?
They are helping. However, if you don't make it to a certain point in the tournament, you're still on your own.
Right.
What?
So
it's not for the whole time?
It is not for the whole time.
So it's only guaranteed for a certain part of the draw. So it's only like for the people in the quarterfinal.
For all the main draw players.
So if no, not even that.
No, if you get to like a certain point in the tournament, like to the quarterfinal,
you have to last so long. You have to have played. You know, you have to be there and be playing for at least 3 days. It used to be ridiculous. 5 or something.
Do you know what?
Yes, it is.
You know what? The ATP is so funny because if you go to their website right now, it says it does not say anything like that. All it says is that all ATP Challenger tournaments will provide hotel accommodations for all main draw players. At no point in time does it make any distinction about when that accommodation is going to occur.
It does not. But it's not helpful. I mean, yes, of course it's helpful. Any help is helpful because these players don't make any kind of money. The winner of this tournament got a check for just over $10,000. You know, that's nothing. You've played 5, well, in this case more because he played qualifying, but typically you've played 5, 6, 7 matches in a row and you get $10,000.
Yeah. I mean, listen, people are going to have to begin to advocate really clearly for this tour. I mean, we'll have to see what the legacy of the next of the next ATP president and the next ATP council members are, because I think with this rebranding of the tour and saying that they're trying to professionalize it, they should begin to offer other incentives for people. They should be throwing money at this level because this is supposedly the level
where your talent is, right? This is what you want to develop.
That's exactly what I said to Janina. This is the step below. And the main draw,
the main tour,
because after this is 250.
I mean, I saw it with my own eyes. I have never been a fan of this level of the tour. I've never paid it any attention ever. And I was just like, wow. And like I said before, you notice a difference. You absolutely notice a difference. Like I said, the misses are bigger. That's the biggest difference. The misses are just way bigger. But I'm just like, holy shit. You've never even heard of this person and you feel like you could put them on a court with anybody and they could hold their own. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that they're going to beat everybody at the top, but when you look at the numbers, when you look at sheer numbers of what 100 are ranked compared to these guys that I watched play this week, there's not a huge disparity. There's not. It's really close. So and I guess, the rankings are designed to keep people of somewhat equal play at equal levels, right? I mean, that is the point of it, somewhat. So I think that I've always thought of the challenger level to be so much further below. And it's not. It's like the reserves, I'm trying to think of bench. They're the bench. They are the bench,
Who's the bench? And the bench is deep. And the bench is
deep as fuck.
Well, I mean, I think their intention is to not have the bench be that deep, which is why they've had that mass overhaul, right? It's because
but even with the mass overhaul, it's still deep.
It is deep, but it's going to be so many less players.
I think they did this specifically for money issues, because if the bench is deep, you're gonna have to pay people because people are gonna complain that there ain't just enough spots for people to be at all these tournaments, right? Because they're limiting the tournaments, and also they're limiting the amount of money tournaments can pay, right? Because 250 can't pay more than 500. Right. 500 can't pay more than 1,000 masters.
Except to be honest, they're limiting the numbers. Because at the end of the day, if you're on this tour and you can't make a livelihood, then why are you there? I mean, you can say it's for the love of it, obviously, but it's not viable to have someone maintain a professional standing if they're reasonably not taking home professional money.
But look at the people who have been on the Challenger Tour for so long. Look at players like Dustin Brown.
Yeah.
Everyone him on the main tour. It doesn't happen very much. He is consistently playing on the challenger level. Yeah. He's not making any damn money. And I mean, you know what else I found interesting? They have to pay to even enter these tournaments. The fees aren't large, but what the hell are they paying for? They're coming and putting up stuff for you. Their $50 or $25 entry fee certainly isn't covering any cost of the tournament. Why are they paying to get in?
John Millman, can we have a tweet about that, please? Can we have a tweet about that?
First of all, he did. So you got to stop. If you're going to challenge him, you're going to have to follow him because he actually did tweet about that. So no, I do think you can't talk about like, it is really interesting that you're paying to access a lower tier. It's almost like that's part of the punishment of being at this tier is you get to pay.
Well, what I want to know is there an entry fee for the players at a 250, at a 500? I don't know. I honestly don't know.
I don't think we've ever heard of anyone paying.
I mean, right? What we hear about are appearance fees. We hear about the tournaments paying them to come. So I really, if anybody knows that, I would like to know.
Be a tournament fee to get into those tournaments, it's clearly covered from whatever money they'll be making, right?
Probably.
I mean,
maybe because your first round maybe gets minus and you never even hear about it.
You never even hear about it and realize that facilities fee or something like that.
It's insane. It is just incredibly insane. But I don't know. I mean, my eyes were opened. They were. It was fascinating. It was fascinating to have only ever been at a Masters 1000 event to go to this. You know, it was
it's like you've been shopping at Saks Fifth Avenue all the time and then they gotta go down to Rainbow.
Yeah, maybe good.
Rainbow has some cute stuff.
Yeah,
yes, it does.
I mean, you know,
not for me. Well, actually, I don't even know.
There's no players' lounge. There's no players' lounge. They're not feeding them. They're not giving them any food. They're giving them water, Gatorade, and bananas. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. You know, it wasn't expensive to eat there. I didn't think. However, it was a country club. So if you're not a member, there's an upcharge. I don't know if anybody was. I had a meal with a player. They didn't know, you know, the ATP didn't pick that up. I mean, I know they didn't. I watched who paid for what. So, you know, this is coming out of their own pocket. And you figure, for me, I was coming from home, right? So I could eat breakfast at home. You know, I didn't have to eat all my meals there or even go out to a surrounding area there. These guys are on the road day in and day out.
And they have to eat properly.
They got to pay to get into a tournament.
They can't graze like you. They can't just be eating a pack of peanuts. They got to eat real food. Okay,
well, we know. I mean, hold up. Let me just. You want a little giggle? Because I'm going to give you one about the food, right? Because they eat a lot. And I'm going to tell you, you know, I followed Maxime Cressy all week, and he did sit down at my table at one point and start eating my food. And then he says, wait, whose is this? Because he thought it belonged to his coach.
But I mean, you just start eating random food, dude. I could have put something in there.
Listen, he had just played a match and he's like, I'm starving, right? So I was like, you know what? It's fine. And then my mommy mode kicks in and I'm like, no, honey, you're hungry, you eat, right? Like, go ahead and eat. Yeah, shit, I'm hungry, but just eat the damn food, right?
So I noticed through your reports on Twitter that you actually got quite close to him. So how did that happen?
So you know what? I'm going to tell you how I think it happened, and then I'm going to confirm and see if this is really how it happened. But I think it happened. Yes, I think that I kid you not. His coach is black. His name is Andrew Mawere. He is from Zimbabwe, and he spoke to me first. I didn't know who he was. I had seen him, you know, just around, but you see everybody because, again, it's so small. And he just was nice one morning and said, how's your morning going? And that was it, because you know me, I'll talk to whoever.
You'll run. So that's like an invitation to dinner right there.
That's all it took. You know, so we hung out, watched practices, and it just happened. It just happened.
Great.
So yeah, but I think it was just like, there are not very many black people around here, and I will tell you, the black players, they hung together.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I wanted.
Can you be a black person in strange towns and not hang together?
Janina, we're in Ohio.
You know what?
Club. I mean,
this was not downtown Cleveland. This was a suburb of Cleveland called Pike. It is a very, very rich white Jewish area. Really, a lot of Jewish people around there, and I never felt unwelcomed. I do know that someone did tell a black man that coffee is for members only.
Oh God, coffee.
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 Now I want you to know that I got my coffee there all the damn time, every day, 4 or 5 times a day, and he'd been getting his coffee there as well. But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's another reason why it shouldn't happen in country clubs, to be honest, because country clubs have a really checkered history. And so in order for the environment to be fully welcoming, I mean, we might have to think about other spaces for these things to happen.
Yeah.
You know, so Janina, I have to say, I mean, I might be backing up the round tree, but all throughout your reporting, I just kept thinking, oh, so this is why this area is rife with match fixing. Because
you did. And I didn't think of it that way until you and I had a conversation about it, but it makes perfect sense. It really does.
I mean, because
why? When you say it's right, why would it be rife?
Because
hold on. Janina, when we had the first podcast, and Janina was just like, oh my God, the misses are really big. Like,
yeah.
I don't understand it. And then she had the conversation with Nick Rubin. Nick Rubin says, by the time we get on court, we are frustrated. Everything we're pissed off that we shouldn't be playing a match and balls are rolling on court. He said it seems as though this tournament thought of this production like 2 days ago.
Can I tell you?
Like they weren't prepared to host a tournament.
I heard from at least 3 different players while on court. You call this a tournament? You call this professional? At least 3 different players said that.
Like how can you have a tournament, right? And say it's a brand new tournament, right? Brand new place for them to earn points and money and whatever the case may be. And the codes have not been resurfaced in like 10 years. You got shitty codes where the club players, where grandpa and granny are trying to play doubles, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you have these guys.
He said the courts were wavy.
These are not slouches, right? These are not like, I mean, like we call them scrubs, you know. Admittedly, I do. But they're not scrubs, and they're the next level. The next place they're going is the 250, right? So to be at this and face this kind of like frustration.
Also, Reels had talked about, you know, when we talked about the line judges.
Yeah, I mean, that too. I mean, come on, she's like, I would be guessing. Like, where were you, woman? That's your job. Like, it's match point.
Well, I mean, and the question is,
point.
Do you know how much she's being paid? I mean, we talk about line judges not getting paid that much in the regular tour. And I'm not saying that that's an excuse for you not to do your job, but it may also impact who you get to hire to do this job, depending on how much you're offering. I mean, I think your big question about all aspects of the tour becomes problematic, right? And
Nick mentioned, I'm sorry, not Nick. Noah mentioned, you know, like they largely benefit in order to get around the tour. They largely benefit on the largest of others, right? People would host them.
Yep.
Who are these people?
You know, but that's a culture.
It's just
that's
regular.
also a culture of other tournaments as well.
No, that's a culture of sports. That's actually the culture of sports. That happens a lot in minor league baseball and stuff. I have a minor league baseball league team and stadium that's right by my office, which is also not far from my home. And a lot of those players stay with local families. And I think that they find those people because there's always corporate sponsors, right? So you find, you know, for the baseball team by me, my hospital, Mercy Hospital, actually is a sponsor of the field. So then you find these CEOs and whatnot, bigwigs of the hospital, and they're like, hey, can you put these guys up for, you know, while they're in town for this 2 weeks? And can you over there from this sponsor do it?
Oh, no, I understand all of that. But my point is just that it's different because, again, this is just people, right? Regular people. And who knows what element they're exposed to? Who knows who that CEO contact is, right? Coming in contact with. Because at some point it's almost like we see this. I think it's much more happen. I'm thinking more in terms of music, like when professional like classical artists and whatever, they usually depend a lot on sponsors, right? Or there's a word for it too, but I can't remember the word. But anyway, these people, so they come in contact with a certain level of social circle. There's a social circle around and whatever, and they have to meet and greet. Oh my God, guess I have an ATP player staying at my home, and yada yada. There is just so much open access to the players.
And all it
And
takes is for
we
one
haven't
trip
even
to get in
mentioned
the home,
security.
right?
We didn't even mention security. We haven't even mentioned security yet. But just this and I mean, like, this frustration, the lack of money, and all this thing is happening with these, and they have invested their lives and livelihood into this thing. And I'm just like, there's no control, because you know what I haven't seen Janina mention at all? It seemed like there was some ATP supervisor overseeing this whole shit. It's like no one
You know
did.
who the supervisor was? This guy, I had no idea who he was. I had no I mean, I knew that he was someone, but I didn't know who he was. I saw him every single day. He was friendly enough. He didn't want to give me the Wi-Fi password. In fact, would not give me the Wi-Fi password at one point. And I didn't meet him until Friday when it was the first day of paid tickets, and I couldn't get on court. Because, sometimes volunteers take their jobs too seriously. Someone taught me that a long time ago, and it's true. It really is true. You put someone in a position that they think is authoritative, and they run with it.
Yeah.
So this was, all week the tournament was free. So you pretty much had free reign over wherever you wanted to sit, fine. Friday, they start selling tickets. So I actually did not go down at all at night or during the day, I mean. So then come nighttime, I wanted to go down on court, sit courtside. Maxime Cressy's coach wanted to go down and scout. They wouldn't let us down. I tried to do the right thing and say, where do you want the media? Because this is the first night of paid seats. And the woman says to me, the same woman who wouldn't allow someone to get coffee, says, oh, you know what? That's a really good question. I think you're going to be right down there with him. But hold on. Let me ask Kyle, tournament director, didn't know this at the time, and find out. So here comes Kyle back with the woman. And she goes, Kyle says he didn't know that you were here. And I said, well, I am here. And I've been here all week. Here's my credential. Kyle never asked me for my credential. And he literally just looked at me and didn't say anything. And then he looked at Andrew, and Andrew said, I would like to go down and watch. I have a player still in, and I want to watch the competition. And he gives Andrew the weird look. And I was like, fuck this. I'm out. I'm not doing this, because I'm immediately pissed because I see other people. Listen, there were only 3 outside media people there covering that tournament, including me. And I see both of the other guys down wherever the hell they want. So I left. I mean, I'm irritated, and I left. And I heard him telling Cressy's coach, of course we have a space for the players and their teams, and anyone that they want to have there, but only during match play. And I'm thinking to myself, there is nowhere in the fucking world a coach would say, I want to go watch another player. My person is going to be playing this person in tomorrow's match in a semifinal, and the tournament director tell them they cannot go because A, there were plenty of open seats, and B, you just don't. You don't do that.
The question is, what's his training? How are people trained?
So
for
check
these
this
4
out.
levels,
Let me tell you who this is.
Ooh.
His name is Kyle Ross. I am not familiar with his name, but we are all familiar with Top Notch Tennis. We have all heard about Top Notch Tennis tours. Let's get you to Wimbledon and the Australian Open. Huge sponsor of the Grand Slams. That's who he is. He has been involved, I found out, in tennis since the early 90s. So he should damn well know better how it works.
Well, because he's also done like a tournament. He does the tournament in like fancy Stowe Mountain, I think it is.
So yeah, he knows better. Okay, so I'm livid, and I go home, and I sent an email to the person who I reached out to, who actually reached out to me to get all of my information for credentialing, saying this is what happened, blah, 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 blah. This is what I have done. This is how I've been covering it. And then now I'm trying to follow protocol to find out what I need to do, where you want me to be. And I just get nothing more than basically a dazed and confused look. And at this point, I don't even know if my credential is valid or should I come back to the tournament at all.
Mm-hmm.
So that message got forwarded to Kyle Ross, tournament director. And in turn, he sent me a very nice apologetic email. The one part of the email that I really didn't appreciate was he basically told me he didn't know who I was as opposed to the other two people who were there for media because they had been helping out on an operational standpoint. Well, you know what? Good for them. I'm not here for that. I'm not hanging your fucking curtains and I'm not playing ball boy. That's what they were doing. I'm not doing it. Sorry. So I'm sorry that because I wasn't up your ass that, you didn't know who I was. But guess what? I was there doing my job and people were liking it. And that's really what should matter. But all was resolved. And he said, please introduce yourself to me tomorrow. I'm sure I'll recognize your face, which he did. And he was very nice. But it just really should have never happened. And there was a designated media spot from that point on. So, I mean,
the thing is, it's weird to me that they issued out media passes, but then didn't plan for them. Do you know what I mean?
I forgot who the person was. I mean, and it wasn't
you know what I mean?
Lot.
Because maybe this is not a place where media shows up, obviously, right? But if you've issued it, so then I need to anticipate that media is coming because we issued it. Right. So it's like it's the communications behind the scenes.
And someone did up in the beginning, right? It's not like you just showed.
I mean, listen, I told you guys.
Remember how she showed up though?
I get all of that, but I think for God's sake, somebody might have given them. You might have got an email. Apparently not.
And you know what else I found? And you got to do the right thing, and I did the right thing. But I took my son with me for finals day. I did buy him a ticket. I did let him sit with me in the media section. Listen, the media section was
where are you going to put him? Hey, up in the nosebleed and wait for me. Wave when I turn around.
This is what I did actually. I bought him a grandstand seat, which was bleachers, which you know what? I sat in that seat because that was my favorite spot. So I actually put him in Cressy's player box with his team. And I took Micah's seat and sat in it at some point because it was right behind the baseline. And that's my favorite place to watch tennis. I don't ever want to be in the middle with my head going back and forth. I can't stand that. I hate it. I want to be on the end and just look, So it was fun for him because he got to, kind of sit in a somewhat special place. And, I got a better seat. But he walked in with me. I never once did anybody ask me who I was. Like, as I walked in, everybody was friendly and said good morning. But no one ever asked me for a ticket or who, whatever. They just let me go. And then the day that I take my child, nobody asked him for a ticket. I got a couple looks when I took him down and whatever. I did notice later that people were wearing armbands, wristbands, bracelets, saying where their seat was. Well, I'm like, well, how did that happen? Because nobody ever stopped me. And I put the ticket printout in Micah's pocket, and I said, if anybody asks you if you have a ticket, because I've got this little black boy running around in this space, I want you to be prepared. So I'm like, you keep this in your pocket, and if anybody asks you for a ticket, you give it to them. But I don't think anybody will give you a hard time because he was clearly with me. And nobody. I found out that he does, but I assure everyone that he looks like his father, but y'all don't know him, so that's why you think he looks like me. But I'm fine with it because I don't get to hear it very much that he looks like me. But so just like little stuff, like how does one enter a professional sporting event and never be asked for a ticket? How's that happen?
Well, I mean,
it's weird.
The point you said was professional,
Right.
The professionalization of this space is going to be really key. And for all the chatter about sort of like people caring about getting rid of all of the gambling in tennis, I mean, that's one of the ways that they're going to have to.
I mean, right? I just feel like if I were back, man, if I like introduce, I mean, like, and it's not just hair, but it's just like, because the whole atmosphere is creating this level of frustration for the players of like, they don't give a fuck. I'm being mistreated. All of this hard work and effort for nothing. I mean, it's like, someone give me a break or something like that. I mean, because come on now. I mean, and I don't understand. I mean, at the very least, you have to make these space. Like, if you're going to put a challenger someplace, you have to agree to a set of rules and accommodation. You just have to.
Yeah.
It just can't be like any old place that have at least 5 tennis courts. I mean, no.
Yeah. It was, I did speak to a fan who was a member of the club during final, or the semifinal, actually, Topogard's semifinal, who he is a graduate. He did actually graduate college. And I don't say that like he couldn't, but just, a lot of athletes choose not to and move on. But he went to Ohio State. So this is Buckeye country. I mean, it is. So of course people are going to cheer him on. And there was also, the current Ohio State tennis star, JJ Wolf, who has made a dent on the main tour in some spaces. He got a wild card to Cincinnati last year and he won a round. So, people were hyped for that. But I did say to the man that I was talking to, I said, so this is a pretty big deal, that this tournament is here for you guys. And he was like, yeah, it's huge. And I said, I'm really kind of surprised that they maybe wouldn't reach out to Cleveland State since they just got that new facility and have it there. And he says, well, I think a lot of it might have to do with the fact that, we can feed everybody and offer them drinks. And I'm thinking, this is and that's true. And it is true. And there's locker rooms and all of that stuff. However, Cleveland State, although it's not known for sports, it's a Division I school. It's got a sporting facility. It always every year hosts part of the NBA
multi-million-dollar sports facility. It just gotta be if you're a Division I school. It's a multi-million-dollar space.
Yes. So don't tell me that there's not a place to eat. There's not. First of all, it's a college campus. There's a cafeteria. But there is a place to eat. I'm sure that they sell alcohol. Do they sell alcohol at college?
You can't sell alcohol in a college place. No, you cannot.
You don't? Oh, okay. So you don't.
You cannot sell alcohol in the college.
Maybe that's the breaking point. I don't know. I mean,
but here's the thing.
People do expect that though at a sporting event.
But how, he's talking about maybe they can feed them as in the country club.
Yeah, there was a bar area, lounge area right there, and the food was really, okay, it was good. And like I said, the prices weren't bad.
Here's the thing. Again, this is the thing I don't understand. Why are these athletes foraging for food, basically? I mean, like, if you're going to put on an event, you should at least, there should be some kind of food, and they should know what type of food they're getting there, particularly since they have to go to doping tests. They can't be eating off the street and foraging off the land. That's how they feel.
Yeah, that's what they did. So, I mean, listen, you had asked before, would you go back? Did you enjoy it? Yes to all of those things. I really, really did. It's really nice to be able to get up and close and personal with all aspects of it. It's interesting to see how different players choose to warm up. What do they do? What are their, just like literally their warm up techniques? Are they going to stretch with bands? Are they going to run around a little bit? What are they doing? Do they want to just sit and relax and listen to music? It's just neat. You don't get to see that side of sports very often. You just don't. It's nice when a venue is small and you're super close to the court. That's always a bonus for me. I love that. I will take a small court over a big court any day.
Well, you need to start going to 250s. We're gonna have to try to convince you to go to DC then.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoy that. I do. And it was nice to accidentally meet some people and be able to watch a player through the week and have them fucking win.
That was so incredible. He got kind of lucky though, because he was match point down, wasn't he?
He was match point down twice.
Twice.
So yeah, he played.
Were you screaming your head off that he was like, fuck it, fucking partiality? You were like,
I did not. I didn't make a peep.
So did you get a chance to talk to him?
I did get a chance to talk to him. I was trying all week to get an interview, and it kept being promised to me by his coach. But coach is far more protective.
Good.
And he says, but we got to prepare for tomorrow. And, I appreciate that. I'm like, listen, I get it. I want it. It just kept not happening. So after the win, players.
You should have said, "I did you, so therefore you owe me." That's next time around.
Oh no! Everybody had pretty much gone. All the pictures had been taken. They were starting to tear down the venue, and there was just a handful.
Oh, and then it's been torn down already. You mean tear it down some more, right?
Yeah, right. And I said, "All right, Max, I'm getting my interview." And he said, "Right now, I said, right now. He said, here? I said, right here. He's like, let's do it. I don't know if you guys had watched any of his on-court interviews. I posted the one from the final on Instagram. Listen, this kid likes the spotlights. He's like, give me the mic and let me talk, and he will talk and talk and talk and talk some more. And it is refreshing and it is fun. He's fun. Like he's cute too.
So Janina, what you're basically telling us is that you have found the white whale, basically the American white man that we can cheer for. And unfortunately, and crazy enough, he's French. I mean,
which is why you can. Which is why you can.
We will take it. We will take it where we can get it. Okay.
So I will play for you. It's very brief.
Okay.
Maxime Cressy's post on court interview after winning the Cleveland Open.
So I'm here with Maxime Cressy, who just won the Cleveland ATP Challenger event. This is only his second tournament at this level. First final, first win. How you feeling?
I'm feeling. It's tough to describe in words how I'm feeling because I really thought I had lost that match in advance, and I somehow came back and won that second set, and I couldn't believe it. As soon as I saw that ball out wide, and when I realized I won the set, I couldn't believe it because he was so tough. The whole crowd was with him. I felt like all the odds were against me in that match, and he was playing such unbelievable tennis. And I really had to go beyond myself, mentally, physically, emotionally. And with my tennis, I have to deliver in the most important moments. And I had a few opportunities to break in the third, and I finally took my chances at 5-3, I had 4-3 to break. So that break really gave me the match. I waited for that break for a long time.
We were all waiting for that break for a long time. You both served really, really well. I don't know that I had seen him serve that good this week. Have you ever played him? Never played him. So it was the first time
on the lineup at UCLA. And
first time finalist.
Ohio State. I was very far from playing him.
You did great. What's up next for you?
Next is Dallas.
Dallas,
yeah. Monday.
Best of luck.
And singles and doubles. Yeah.
We'll be watching.
I'm looking for a second title.
We'll be watching.
1 doubles and 2 singles.
That's right. So
first appearance in doubles, I won my challenger in Columbus. With Bernardo Saraiva, a Portuguese player, and
won't you be playing doubles again in Dallas?
I will play again with him in Dallas, and second appearance in singles, and I win it. So,
you heard it here. He said, my second appearance, and I'm going to win it.
Yeah.
Best of luck, Max. Thank you.
So
that was very nice.
Janina, I'm telling Janina, we need to get you. Well, no, I might lose you, but Janina, you're ready for the sidelines. You should be on ESPN.
Well, what I do want to share is he actually played this morning and he won. I scoreboarded it and he won in straight sets. And I was like, dude, you got to get tired, right? And I'm like, he's playing doubles tomorrow.
Janina, it's time for you to quit your day job, girl. Time to quit your day job.
What else you got to do but play tennis? This is it.
I mean, I guess, but you know what? I'm going to tell you what I worry about.
What?
I talked to you guys about Roy Smith, the young American player, college player. He's 20 years old, and he retired from his match against Darian King, and his arm hurt because of overuse, and it's like. You know, I saw on Twitter today, Maxime's name was blowing up on Twitter. Brad Gilbert was talking about him. And I'm like, that's a big deal for somebody that 2 weeks ago, nobody knew who the hell he was.
Thanks to you, Janina.
I mean, I think, to be honest, you know, I bet you Brad did because he's a big deal at UCLA.
Well, sure, Brad probably did.
Yeah.
But nobody was, you know, in general talking about him for sure. But I saw people ask, so part of the rule change, apparently, there used to be a process where if someone won a challenger tournament, then they got some type of a direct entry into the main draw if they wanted to play. Well, that's gone. He's in Dallas playing qualifying again. So he played last night, or yesterday afternoon, flew out of Cleveland, arrived in Dallas probably around 1 a.m. and played at 10 a.m. this morning already.
Yeah.
That's a lot. So if you're going to do that week in and week out, because there are players that do that week in and week out, when in the hell do you rest? Like, seriously.
I mean, you built in some period of rest. You're not going to be winning.
I guess you have to.
Yeah,
you
I mean,
really have to. But
yeah. I mean, and we see it happen on the main tour.
We do.
When players aren't used to winning week in and week out, and then they're suddenly like, wait a minute, my body's not prepared for this. I think that's a huge part of what happened with Joe Konta going deep in tournaments, and you're like, wait a minute, my body's like, what is this? Yeah, it's true. No, it's I mean, that's a shame that they got rid of that piece. That seems like a very useful and helpful piece to have.
You would think that, that's gone. So
well, I mean, I just want to follow up what we were talking about earlier. The BBC News just published a story, The Rise and Fall of Matchfixing Tennis Prodigy. And their main statement is that an independent review panel said the Tennis Integrity Unit had a backlog of cases. I mean, I'm surprised. I mean, there are only, 3 of them working in an office?
Yeah, they don't,
you know. Yeah. I mean, you're behind on your work. I mean, but okay. And that there was a tsunami. There was apparently a tsunami of corruption within the sport. And of course, the person who they're fixing the story on is someone we've never heard of. I mean,
well, yeah.
Karim Hussam. I mean,
yeah. I mean, I think the thing that's flawed in coverage, I think, is the failure to recognize that the problem of match fixing is about exploitation and the fact that the people at the top make too much and it's not spread out evenly. But if you're going to treat this as just a crime issue and not a quality of life issue for the players who are on that level, then you're always, you're always
and also
in motion in that way, right?
And also, interestingly enough, your war on corruption is focused only on the lower end, when this shit can easily happen anywhere.
But that's what. I'm saying the corruption, not necessarily just focus on, but the corruptive element is the inequality, right? You know what I mean? Like, so that's actually what you should be tackling. Is like, listen, there's just not enough money at this level. Instead of, because I honestly think that if they figured out a way to provide a quality of life that is okay for people on this tour, they might see that dip that they want. I mean, we can extrapolate that from poor communities, right? Lack of opportunities is what causes a lot of bad things to happen in communities. And so I think the same thing can be said about the tennis tour. It's like,
and you can't be out here talking about match fixing is wrong and taking money from betting sites. You just can't.
I mean, yeah, I mean, they can't really, they but listen, I mean, I understand
because I'm saying that because as we know in these communities,
you could do it and do it better, though. I mean, I think there are other sports that take money and do betting without having the egregious things that tennis does.
Right. And that's what my point for saying that is, that because we do know in the real world, in larger context, these communities are the way they are largely because of exploitation and institutionalized mechanisms that are there that are causing the inequality to happen. And the same thing can be said about tennis. And we're not trying to address those issues, as you point out, and that's what needs to be addressed. And again, I wish these people, organization, that they come out with cogent arguments, because just putting out tweet and a headline story is not helping the matter. We're going to continue to have these problems.
Well, I mean, I think people are going to start to listen, this is a very difficult thing, right? These are individual athletes. These are people who are used to thinking mostly of themselves and how they're going to negotiate the world.
If they're thinking at all.
Listen, I'm not going to say they're not. I think people are thinking within the limits of what's possible. But I think that it's also very challenging to get a group of athletes who are basically marching. They're independent consultants.
True.
They're moving around the world and taking care of themselves as best as possible. If you like study organizing, it's very difficult to organize and rally people. They have to see each other.
They never come to the same consensus.
Do you know what I mean? And
it is difficult in real life. You're right.
I mean, that's, so there's some structural problem that makes it also very difficult for them to organize. They don't hang out together.
Yeah.
And like Andy Murray said, we don't like each other too, because
Well, I think in a team sport environment, you could get that happening, right? A team of players come together. But with tennis, think about that. Maybe they can rally
because
together.
they form a community and they have a thing going on because they're together
Yeah.
all the time. Yeah, it doesn't happen really in tennis. So
It's hard.
even the top guys, yeah.
Yeah, it's
You might
super
have a
difficult.
country thing.
Yep.
But it might not necessarily. But you know what's funny? I was watching biathlon, and they usually compete as individual, but they're team events, whatever. But they sort of like group together as team. And what was funny is that the French guy, the guy who was always winning, he didn't win one day, and he was talking to they have what is called a flower ceremony. So where the top three they get medal, and the people who came fourth, fifth, and sixth, they're still there and they get flowers. And they were talking, and then the commentator just like, look at that. So the older guys are not even trying to talk to the younger guys. I'm like, why are you trying to cause shit? Like, you going to talk to the man on the medal stand? So you know what I mean? Like, even you're creating a sort of environment, how the media portrays this situation. So even when they're trying to create unity, the problem could also be external, like how people cover it and creating a sense of, even when there's a team unit. Because like in basketball, you may have like a LeBron James and, people might cast him by himself and not have, and he has
knows
to force
it's a
the
team
issue,
effort.
right? He has to force the issue constantly. Say this is a team, this is a team, this is a team, because they're gonna constantly extrapolate one person from the situation and create a sort of big-headed swell situation. So you're right. There are a lot of issues around that will cause organization to be difficult, but
it makes it easier to exploit, right? But I mean, one thing they do have is they do have technology. Some of the players are beginning to share things on platforms with each other, like Noah's platform. I think being able to see each other's stories could be really useful, because maybe they'll start to think to themselves that they're not alone. They might be, I think it actually could be very, very useful for players to begin to sort of find a common space, even if it is online, to share their stories. And people will begin to
amongst themselves reach out to each other, even if they don't, because reaching out to the public with the public creates an audience in mind, and you might not want to have some of the discussions out in public. But reach out to each other, because I'm just saying, all of you challenger people, y'all generally see the same set of people. So
they probably see each other around.
You got an email thing.
You've got to have an organizing mentality. That's not something that comes naturally. There's a whole framing of it.
How about y'all hire me, ATP?
You want to hire Real so he can organize your players so they can boycott.
I'm gonna shake y'all up, but I'm hanging around, okay? But anyway, ladies, this has gone on for more than
our allotted 30 minutes.
Exactly.
But Janina, I want to say that you were a breath of fresh air this week. You tweeted out a ton. You let's be honest, you were all over my Instagram, and I don't know how I feel about that, but
you was all over mine.
That was the most tennis that's ever been on my Insta. But I thought you did such a wonderful job, and I hope you had a really good time. I hope it's a good experience for you. It sounded like it was, and the pictures were awesome. I love that you were able to take your son on the final day. That's always really cool. We always love it when you go to a tournament. You really come alive and you bring something really special to the table. So
you know what, Janina? Dexter said when Andre goes someplace, he's like, I bet you better take me. I'm just
that's the real deal, right? I'll be like, I'll take Janina because I don't want to cover nothing. You can cover
Andrew and Janina in the same. Listen, Andrew and I in the same space.
It's good time. All kind of crazy things. Just like, I want to feel like she is.
No, Janina knows. I absolutely enjoy being in the same space with Janina. So
we have fun times. It is good stuff. It is it's a little bit dangerous.
They just drink it.
Totally.
Well, you know what? I have to say, I think everyone really enjoyed you, Janina. So I think, everyone is starting these damn GoFundMes. I think we might have to have a GoFundMe for you to get up on the tour again.
Hey.
Where do you want to go next, Janina? Speak it into existence. Where do you want to go?
Wimbledon.
Wow, she didn't even start at a 250, right?
No, keeping it real.
Girl, you know what? You can't go to Wimbledon. You know that Andre talk about that queuing up, right? That's going to kill you. You don't want to murder someone queuing up.
I mean, I think what she needs to do is she just needs to send herself. She needs to send her ass to Miami, and check out that new stadium. I mean, how are you going to compare? I mean,
then Serena can bond again on Quay. You can be Quay's assistant, Janina.
I mean,
that's how you're in.
I brought Quay to the press room, guys.
She did. So I mean, I think it's courtesy of Janina that we even have the Quay storyline, which some people might hate you for. I'm sorry.
That's fine. Hate away. Listen,
the next time. But Quay said, you know what? I got my shades on, blocking the haters.
That's right. That's right. Hey, if y'all can get Serena to laugh and giggle and press, come at me.
So, ladies, as we close out this podcast, I would like to take a quotation from Stefano Tsitsipas, and it goes, God. It's the worst of time. It's the best of times. It's the worst of times. Tsitsipas. You said that right? You said that right?
And
you also said they call me Ishmael.
I want to do a plug. I want to plug a little bit. I want to plug solely Tennis Travels. I did do a little comparison. If you have a thought about going to a tournament, at least a Grand Slam, I compare them and offered my opinion about which one you should try to go to. And then I also shared some pictures from my trip to New Zealand and Melbourne. You know, beautiful places. So check them out if you are interested in seeing some pretty stuff.
All right. Yeah. And you know what? Andrine's a really good writer. You'll actually enjoy what she says.
Thank you. We're propping each other up. Will, what have you been doing?
Yeah, boo, because you're a good writer too. Where's your shit at?
I feel attacked right now.
You should. All right. Good night, you guys.
I mean, I create a platform for you ladies to talk and giggle, and you're trying to come for me. You know what? I'm calling people. So,
you know, we're coming for you. We're coming for you like John Wertheim came for you. You still need to
girl.
So you guys just stay tuned. We got
there is that. There is that.
Do not even get into that, but it's coming. It is coming.
It's coming. All right.
Dun, dun, dun.
I got you, boo.
All right.
I too command the scales. Anyway, the wins. But ladies, people, folks, don't forget to comment below, and I will respond to the comment didn't last time, some technical difficulties, but we're on it. And this podcast is available on YouTube, iTunes, and Podbean. Ciao. And wherever else, which are copying and stealing our shit and not giving us a check.
Oh God, I can't with you.
Alrighty then. Thanks for listening, folks. Bye.